Hey everyone, back tuning into the third and final season 1 roundup from GazOvids.com for winter of 2015-2016. We're going to get 11 long-range models together today to have a look at what they're all showing for the coming winter. It's going to be a marathon update with 11 long-range seasonal models from all over the world. We're going to see what these models are showing one last time, winter of 2015-2016. We've done 2 updates so far with these seasonal models. We did the first update in September, second update in October. We've also done 10 regular winter updates where we've been looking at things like solar activity, sea surface temperature anomalies, El Nino, all of that kind of thing. We've been following the storyline throughout the autumn. You know what we've been doing. We've finished with those. After this update, we'll be finished with the seasonal models, and all that will be left to do is produce and reveal the winter 2015-2016 forecast, which is going to be released at GazOvids on Tuesday, the 1st of December, probably towards around 7 o'clock in the evening, something like that. So a huge moment coming up at GazOvids as we get towards, very close now, our winter forecast. This is only, I think it's around the 4th one we've done. So it'll be interesting to see how things pan out with that one. So we're nearly at the end game now, and we'll have one last look at the seasonal models in a moment. But before I get on with that, just to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all pages at GazOvids, have a browse widgets, click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, thanks so much for doing that. There's video ads on most pages. They open up the content when you watch them, they'll close back up again, and that's helping to pay for the website. And of course, the Christmas shop is open, so you've got any Christmas shop to do at Amazon.co.uk. Between now and Christmas, just click the button that says Christmas shop, and that will take you to our Christmas shop. And then the key to it all, is to click through the Amazon banners and go to Amazon directly. And because you're going from GazOvids to Amazon, we just get a revenue fee on the things that you're purchasing. You don't need to do anything differently, just need to go from GazOvids to Amazon, and I did that a bit hard, to Amazon, and just do your shopping as normal, and we'll get a revenue fee on the things that you buy. Thanks so much for doing that. It has been a massive success again this year. So very pleased with everybody that's done with shopping at Amazon via GazOvids. Just say about the video, you can find the links to these long-range models, or most of them anyway, on the links page. They're not all there, but most of them are on the links page, so you can see most of these charts for yourself if you want to. It's going to be quite a long video, of course. We've got 11 models to get through. So, if you can't watch it all in one sitting, don't worry. You'll be able to come back to the website, watch it whenever you want. It'll be kept at the website indefinitely, so it'll be there on demand whenever you need it or want it. And what else I've got to say? Just say enjoy the video, really. I say it's going to be quite long, so get a comfy chair and a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and some biscuits, or maybe a little bit of chocolate, something like that. We are getting close to Christmas, so perhaps a mince pie, whatever floats your fancy. Just enjoy the video, and I think better get on with it because I've gone on for long, and I'm going to try and keep it under half an hour, so let's see how we go. So we're going to start off with the Russian model. This is the model from Russia. This is probability. Starting off with temperatures first of all. So the model is seeing near normal temperatures here for the UK this winter. This is for the whole winter. All of these models will be for the whole of winter, so none of this idea of being a month short or a month out. All the models will cover the whole winter period, as this one does, December to February, and it's seeing average temperatures for this winter, so no great deviation between cold or mild probability. Precipitation is looking near normal as well, so not a great deal going on if the Russian model is right this winter. However, interestingly, the Northern Atlantic is coming out drier than average, so presumably some sort of ridging up there, and then signs of southerly tracking jet stream perhaps, with low pressure going through the Mediterranean. You can't really read too much into these anomaly maps though, so don't be running away with the idea that's the way the Russian model is going, but it is interesting when it's dry in the North Atlantic, or the probability is favouring dry conditions in the North Atlantic, I should say, whereas further south through the middle part of the Atlantic and into the Mediterranean, it's looking a bit wetter than average. Right, APEC next. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly from APEC for December to February. So again, 500 millibar height, you know, generally it's blue for low pressure, red for high pressure. So it's basically placing a trough over top of the country at 500 millibars through this winter. That means the temperatures are coming out near normal to above average. Look how warm it is, so across most parts of Europe. In fact, I'm going to have to change the colour. So most parts of Europe coming out significantly warmer than average in those red colours. Actually, in terms of the anomaly to average, we're close to normal here, or closer to normal, through the UK, Ireland and Portugal. Just about the coldest parts of Europe. In the very far west and northwest, but most of Europe coming out significantly milder than average. And coming out wetter than average as well, precipitation anomalies are above average here. So a mild wet winter is being seen by APEC. By the way, APEC is a collaboration of various Met agencies based in the Southern Hemisphere. So I think we've got the Australian Bureau of Meteorology in there. I think we've got the JMA, the Japanese, we've got the Korean, maybe one or two others as well. So a mild wet winter being seen by APEC. I can tell you that later on, however, it does transition to a colour pattern. I'm not going to have the chance to show you all of the charts I would like to for this update, but late winter, it does go a bit colder. Having a look at the Brazilian model next. Now, this is different. I just explained about 500 millibar height anomalies, but this one is always different. I think they tried to catch us out. So with this one, blue is extrapolating to high pressure and yellow, orange and red extrapolating to low pressure. It's the only 500 millibar height anomaly that is set up like that that I am aware of, and as I think they do it really just to catch us out. Anyway, it's showing a trough of low pressure in the middle part of the Atlantic, so the jet stream is probably going something like that. An unsettled winter would be favoured on that setup. The temperature anomalies are coming out milder than average, and also we're coming out wetter than average with the rainfall. So milder than average temperatures with above average rainfall. That's a signal from both the Brazilian and the APEC models. The Russian near normal. JMA next. Now, of course, we get huge amount of information with the Japanese model, as I'm sure you're aware. So I haven't got time to run through all of that information that you can get from the JMA for this update. We're just going to have a look at the 3 monthly anomalies. However, I did do an update earlier in the month that focused specifically on the JMA, looked at all of the different charts that we could look at with this on a month-by-month basis. So if you want a recap of that, I'll try to put it on the catch-up page probably later on this morning, if it's not already there when you're watching the video, of course. So, as I say, this is a 3 monthly 500 millibar height anomaly. Now, what I can tell you about the JMA update, in fact, it's very much a transitional winter. So it started with one pattern, which is westerly and mild in December, and going to another pattern, which is far more blocked and potentially colder by February. So it's very much a progressive pattern through the winter, starting at one point, finishing up at another point, as opposed to having just a consistent pattern throughout. So over the 3 months, we just come out with this ridge sitting to the west, and probably a bit of the trough in the 500 millibar flow here to the northeast of Europe. That doesn't tell us a great deal, but let's have a look at the temperature anomaly for the winter, and that's coming out generally a little bit above average, slightly on the milder side of average. The wind arrows are quite interesting. I'm not sure if you can really make these out, but we've got wind arrows coming down from the north to the north of the country, and wind arrows coming up from the south or southwest to the south of the country. So it implies a bit of a battleground situation. I think this is really just telling us that it's a progressive pattern. So we start off very westerly in December, but by the time we get through to February, we're very much in an easterly, northeasterly pattern. So there's no general direction, if you see what I mean, with these wind arrows over the 3 months, because each month is unique and different throughout the winter. The rainfall anomaly is coming out above average, so a wet winter is being seen by the JMA. So those 3 monthly anomalies don't tell us a great deal. And I haven't got time, unfortunately, to show you the month-by-month charts. Wish I could, but I just don't have the time to do it. But you just have to take my word for it. If you can't watch the video that's going to be placed on the catch-up page that I did earlier in the month, it is a progressive pattern from the JMA. We start off westerly and mild for December. We finish up much more blocked and easterly, potentially anyway, by the time we get through to February. Right, we're going to go to the North American products next, and starting off with CanSIPs. This is from Canada. We did this update, of course, a little while ago, back earlier in the month. So what we see for the 500 millibar height anomaly, actually it's a sea level pressure anomaly from the CanSIPs model for December. These are broken down to monthly periods, so I have got to quickly whiz through these. So December comes out with deep trough of low pressure around the country. January, again, another very deep trough around the country as well. Jet stream coming right through the UK like that. And February, this one looks a bit more interesting, but the temperatures don't stack up too much. We've got trough of low pressure to the south and signs of high pressure up to the north, which you will think would turn the wind into the northeast. But if we have a look at the temperature anomaly from the Canadian model for this winter. So December comes out near normal to a little bit above average. January comes out very mild, in those very mild categories. That's around 2 to 3 Celsius above average in terms of the anomaly for January. And then for February, again, another very mild month. So as I explained when I did CanSIP Saturday earlier in the month, I'm not quite sure how these temperature anomalies stack up in terms of those pressure anomalies, because you would think that February would hold some cold potential, but not really in terms of the model update from this month. Anyway, the rainfall anomaly comes out significantly wetter than average for December. And if we have a quick look at January, that's coming out a bit wetter than average as well, but not as wet as December. And then February comes out drier than average. And look at this, the yellow colours here are in the Northern Atlantic. So you would really think that should be pulling in the winds, at least from a northerly, maybe northeasterly type direction. I really can't explain why the CanSIPs is so mild, I should say, why this model is so mild for February. But there we go, that's what the model is saying for this update. Hugo van der Doel next, our good friend Hugo, and these are 500 millibar height anomalies based on analogue. So this is always a little bit different. What Hugo does here is take sea surface temperature anomalies from any given month, and I think this is taken from October last month, takes the sea surface temperature anomalies and then compares those anomalies to past years with a similar setup, if you see what I mean, and then creates an analog base forecast going forward. So what Hugo is seeing is that we've got a ridge here in the northern part of the Atlantic, close to Newfoundland, southern Greenland, and a trough of low pressure somewhere close to the UK, maybe even a little bit to the south. That's very close to being a cold setup, because you would think we'd have a southerly tracking jet stream. You'd also think we'd probably be bringing the air in from the northeast. But if you have a look at the temperatures, again, nothing particularly exciting going on with these temperatures. Close to average to a little bit above average is the signal from Hugo van der Doel. No sign of particularly cold winter coming up, and a wetter than average winter being expected as well. Notice again, drier than average through the Northern Atlantic with some ridging up there, but generally it's a little bit wetter than average for us. So we have got a bit of a pattern here amongst these early models that we've been using, which is for generally above average rainfall and temperatures to be around or a little bit above average. Have a look at CFS V2 next. Now, you know about the CFS V2, that it's been a horror show all the way through the autumn, ever since the summer, really, when I started looking at these charts, around August, I think it was. It's been a nightmare for anybody that wants cold weather. It's always been a case of get behind the stage long with these charts if you want cold or snow this winter. And the CFS is not doing anything different at all. So for this final update, it hasn't flipped, hasn't changed. It's still going with this idea about having a very mild winter. So this is the 700 millibar height anomaly from CFS V2. Deep trough of low pressure out to the northwest, ridge through central southern parts of Europe. It means that jet stream goes like that. We bring very mild air up out of the tropical Atlantic and possibly also up from North Africa, Mediterranean. And basically, it's just an exceptionally mild and unsettled winter pattern. It's been a consistent signal throughout the autumn, as I say. The temperature anomaly, so this is it. Again, no different at all. There's no sign of any cold weather anywhere in Europe, from Ireland and Portugal in the west to central Russia. It's just above average all the way, a sea of orange and red. Suffice to say, that could be a record-breakingly mild winter for Europe if it came off. And the precipitation anomaly, the rainfall anomaly coming out wetter than average as well. So the CFS still going for a very mild winter and also a wet winter as well. That's as bad as it gets if you want cold weather. However, NASA, this is the experimental model from NASA, and this is a little bit more interesting if you'd like some cold weather. And the reason is that it's centering a ridge of high pressure through the middle part of the Atlantic and pushing it up towards Greenland. There's a trough of low pressure here within the 500 millibar flow to the south and the east of the country. It means that the jet stream and the flow, well, the jet stream is going to the south, but the flow is allowed to go in to the north and the northeast of the country. So this is the temperature anomaly for this winter, and I think it's about the first one we've seen, and it's hinting at a colder than average winter from the experimental NASA model. It's not a desperately cold winter by any means, but it's a little bit on the cooler side of average. And how this breaks down in terms of a month-by-month basis is that December starts off milder than average. A very mild month is signalled for December. January is transitional, so it comes out near normal to a bit colder than average. Notice Scandinavia going cold. And then we get to February, and look at this, we have a significantly colder than average month through February, as does most of Northern Europe as well. So the NASA model is clearly showing a progressive pattern here from a mild start to the winter to something much, much colder as we get through to the late winter period. And those temperature anomalies are around 1 to 2 degrees below average here. So really quite a cold month is being signalled in February. The precipitation anomaly looks like this, generally about average, but notice it's significantly drier than average through much of the North Atlantic, going up towards Greenland, so that just is indicative of that ridge through the Central Atlantic going up towards Greenland. That's the first model we've seen that really does hold some promise for cold weather later in winter. Well, the JMA is there as well, but I didn't have time to show you that. Brazilian model. Now, as we're getting towards the end now, so the Brazilian model 500 millibar heights look like this for the winter. And what do we have here? We have a trough of low pressure centered over the country. We've got a ridge through the central part of the Atlantic. So it means, again, we could be entrenching cold air into that trough of low pressure that's right over the top of the country. You'll remember when we started off with these updates in September, the Beijing Climate Centre was generally going for quite a mild winter, and through the updates it's gradually transitioned to something colder. So now it is actually going for a colder than average winter. Here we are. This is the temperature anomaly from the Beijing Climate Centre, and yes, that's the confirmation that the BCC is now signalling a cold average winter. Not a severely cold winter, but it is going colder than average for the UK and for Scandinavia as well. And the precipitation anomaly is coming out above average and wetter than average winter being signalled here. That's been a consistent signal from the BCC over the past few updates, but it's really the temperatures that it's shifted on. It's gone progressively colder on a month-by-month basis. It is now going for a colder than average winter. The JAMSTEC IOD next. Now, this would have been going cold all the way through these updates. It hasn't deviated. It's still going for it. It's going for below average temperatures here across the UK and Ireland this winter. Again, notice really quite a brutal cold winter for much of northern eastern America. But for us, it is below average. It is cooler than average. Most of northern and eastern Europe is warmer than average. However, the precipitation anomaly shows probably what's going on, with some sort of ridge likely to be centering around Iceland, maybe go down through the central part of the Atlantic, above average rainfall to the south. So I think it's probably allowing the winds to go into the north or the northeast at least a little bit. And then finally, we've got the UK Met. This is our very own model. So this is the sea level pressure anomaly from the Met Office for this winter, and what we see is a deep trough of low pressure to the north and to the northeast of the country, a ridge out to the west, the flow probably going something like that northwest to southeast. So it's Atlantic driven, but it could be quite chilly, especially in the north. The precipitation anomaly coming out a bit above average, actually, a very mild winter being signalled for most of Europe. Precipitation comes out significantly wetter than average. That is a consistent signal across just about all of these models. Probably not every single one of them, but most of these models are hinting at quite a wet winter. And if you have a quick look at the late winter sea level pressure anomaly, look at this. It wants to turn things into a colder pattern for late winter, so it centres that trough further to the east and the northeast. It has the ridge going more towards Greenland, and again probably opening the door to a northwesterly or maybe even a northerly influence. I can very quickly show you the temperature anomaly for that chart for late winter. This is January to March, and still hinting at being a little bit above average, but less so than the first 3 monthly period, if you see what I mean. So a bit of a cooling trend in evidence there, albeit we're not talking about a particularly cold signal. So that's it. That's the 11 models, and we're at the end of all the updates. Now, what can we say about these models? I think there's a very consistent signal to have a wet winter. That's quite clear. Above average rainfall across just about all of these models. They do differ with the temperatures. The first half of these models were generally going for a mild winter, although, as I say, the JMA is transitional. The second batch of charts going more towards the colder side of things. So I've got a bit of a 50-50 split there, and it's not terribly helpful for me, I've got to say, in terms of doing the winter forecast, because there's not really a clear signal, and I think perhaps some of the better models, with models that are at the better end of things, probably going more towards the colder side of things actually, but it's not a strong signal across the whole 11 models. So I'm going to have a problem when I come to do the winter forecast on Tuesday. And of course I've got to do it because we're at the end now. There's nothing left to do. I can't do another update, so I'm going to have to do the forecast. It's going to be pretty low confidence, I think, whatever we go for. I've got a bit of an idea about where things are going. And you'll just have to come back on Tuesday to see what the forecast is for winter of 2015-2016 from GavsWeatherVids.com. But there are so many variables about this winter, and even the models are in a bit of turmoil about it as well. So it really is a very, very difficult winter to call this year. But nevertheless, I will have to do the forecast for you on Tuesday the 1st of December, so come back for it. It will be here at the website, probably around 7 o'clock in the evening, something like that. And that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for sticking with the updates throughout the whole of the autumn. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed the updates. We're at the end game now, so there's nothing left to do but that forecast. That's all for now then. Thanks for watching.